Mrs. Hillary Boyce is the founder and chief executive officer of BAFO Services, LLC, bringing more than 20 years of proven expertise in the procurement, execution, and management of U.S. government contracts. A proud U.S. Army veteran, Mrs. Boyce served as an engineer in the Army National Guard before transitioning to active duty with the 3rd Infantry Division. She is also a dedicated military spouse, supporting her husband, an active duty naval officer. Mrs. Boyce spent many years providing essential services and support to wounded soldiers, survivors, and military families through her roles within the U.S. Army Casualty and Mortuary Affairs Operations and the U.S. Army Physical Disability Agency. Deeply committed to community and professional service, she is a business coach for the Honor Foundation, supporting transitioning Navy SEALs and U.S. Special Operations personnel. Her recent awards include Virginia Small Business Veteran of the Year and Veteran and Military Spouse-Owned Small Business of the Year from the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to the MilCom Founders Podcast, where we champion and celebrate military community business founders. In each episode, we will talk with a MilCom business founder, learn how they work through various obstacles and opportunities in business and in life. I'm your host, Rob Loches. Let's meet today's guest. On today's episode of the MilCom Founders Podcast, we'll meet Hillary Boyce, U.S. Army veteran and military spouse. She is the founder and chief executive officer of BAFO Services, LLC, bringing more than 20 years of proven expertise in the procurement, execution, and management of U.S. government contracts. Hello, Mrs. Boyce. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Look forward to learning more about you, your family, and your business endeavors, and how the military shaped your business endeavors. Even.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you. So, Hillary, how old were you when you really thought about? It's very interesting because you're a veteran yourself, and your husband, I think, is still active duty.
Yes, sir. He still is 28 years.
28 years. That's fantastic. I look forward to learning more about that. But Hillary, how did you come about deciding to join the military? How old were you? How did that come about?
Well, so I'm from a little small town called Taylorsville, North Carolina, which is about an hour north of Charlotte. Pretty much pure country, farming, not much there. So when I was in high school, there was one high school in my hometown county. They had an ROTC program, Navy. And so I joined it in high school. Just something to do, to just have a variety of extracurricular activities. And I kind of excelled in that. The Master Chief and Lieutenant, I guess, saw something in me, quickly became an ROTC officer, kind of grew the ranks with responsibility with that. And that kind of sparked my interest there. I did not have a mother or father that was military. So I didn't see that, but that kind of sparked my interest. And then I realized that joining the military was a quick way to get out of that small little town. I joined the National Guard. I joined the National Guard while I was still in high school. But before my senior year of high school, I went to basic, did all that during then. So I came back. I was able to buy my car with my first 2 months of paycheck.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Wow. And where did you go for basic training?
Basic training, I went to Fort Leonard Wood. Fort Leonard Wood was basic. Yeah, AIT was at Gulfport, Mississippi. My hometown county guard unit was the engineer unit. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I was signing up for. Not the depth of choices of MOSs, specialties. I was just looking to do something. I was kind of like a recruiter's dream. I'll find whatever. I've learned a little bit wiser throughout the years. So next thing I know, I'm a carpentry and masonry engineer at Gulfport, Mississippi. Learn how to level and plumb and build basic structures, which was a lot of fun. So I would burn a tool belt.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I was a combat engineer, National Guard in Ohio, 376 Engineer Battalion. And we all went to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training and AIT at the time because it was combat engineer. So we just stayed there.
Yeah.
How does that? It's good memories. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Good foundational
It's definitely
memories.
been great because just as I've grown up, homeowner, I learned a little bit because I didn't go in as a skilled engineer of any trade at all. I didn't even have a tool or a tutorial, but It taught me some basics to learn how to question crazy quotes you get for home repair stuff. And I definitely don't want to do that, but I give me a little bit of wisdom in that world behind me from that MOS.
Yeah, still good to have that knowledge and understanding
Absolutely.
of those current.
And
It's
I,
like my
I, I'm
brother.
right. I'm a nerd. So here I am in AIT, never swung a hammer in my life, but I'm a nerd. So I'm a book smart person. I ended up being an honor grad at AIT because I'm a perfectionist, OCD.
Wow.
All my lines are straight. I'm good.
It's also one of those skills that my brother's a very smart guy. I don't want him to hear this, but he's a very smart guy. He's a doctor in interventional radiology and everything. But dude, we all need to know the basics. We need to know gardening. We need to know how to cut a straight line. Because you just never know what's going to happen to ourselves, our country, or whatever. You got to be prepared to take care of yourselves.
Yeah.
And he was telling his kids that the other day when I was with him, and they're all grown adults, but he was beating into their head again one more time. "Oh, how's your garden doing? What are you doing around your house?" And I'm like, damn, that's pretty cool. I respect that, That's for sure. So you joined the Guard, and you probably served 8 years in the Guard, or how long did you stay?
I joined while I was in high school. So my whole senior year, I was drilling and stuff. And then shortly, my mother had different plans than I do. She wanted me to leave for college. That was her plan. I kind of tried to pull the strings to go the other way. And I did. So I converted some National Guard to active duty right after high school was over. And so then I went active duty service. And then, but thank God, as soon as I went active duty, I was in 3rd ID. So I went to Benning. So I was in Infantry Division. I was still doing that MOS. So they really didn't have a place to put me. So years ago. So they put me as the brigade RNU shop. So I was in charge of making the placard for the commander and first sergeant for every building.
Yeah.
I was in charge of like the people that got in trouble that had to do police call down the highway and a good job for me. But thank God, I guess, that MOS got, what do you call it? It got pushed away. So I had to pick between a new MOS to reclassify because those MOSs were. So here I am in 3rd ID, and I became really close with the command sergeant major and the commander. And they're like, let me look at that list. They're like, nope. They're trying to make the decision for me. They're like,
oh, funny.
We want you to be our S1. We want you to, well, not S1. They wanted me to be their actually adjutant. So here I am at E4, and they're pressuring me to come be in their command group section and help their schedules, just the chaos of a rapidly deployed. And I chose 75 Bravo, 42 Alpha now. So paid personnel. So that's the kind of MOS that I reclassed to, staying in the command group, in the TAC as we rolled out. Papers and all that great stuff.
Wow. It's interesting because that's probably even where you started to get the idea of, or at least had the understanding of what government contracting is or could be, or
I didn't
at least the basics of it.
Exposure to that though. While I was active duty, I was in the command group. I did learn a lot about just officer acquisitions, the juggling of the slot, manpower, casualties. Casualties were happening. A lot of this was before the sophisticated processes that we have established now for casualty control, but a lot of duties that happen and stuff like that. So I got exposure to that from the S1 and that group, which I was like, don't get me wrong, I was a little bit protected being up there because I'm working at least the command sergeant major and invincible a little bit, but they also knew me. They taught me things. And I still keep in touch with those guys today. It was a great honor. They saw something in me. I never saw contracting there. But I learned administrative, all the different parts of maneuvers and acquisitions side. But then from Fort Benning, I got orders to go to Germany, to Hanau, Germany, to PCN.
Okay.
And so at that point in my life, I had a toddler in tow, PCS into Germany, which I don't know how it is now, but then you get assignment orders to Frankfurt, but you don't know where you're going till you get there.
Right.
I think now it's different. So, we don't know where to secure daycare, where to secure. You get on the bus and you go in a direction. And being in an aviation unit in Hanau, Germany, which I think is now closed down. Yeah. So that's from Benning to Hanau. I got out in Hanau. I transitioned out there. Wow. Let me get ahead of your questions, but that's where I transitioned.
No. Got it. Did you stay over there
I
for a
did,
while
I
or
did.
what?
Because I was doing the pay personnel side, the S1 side, the local transition office with hiring. They needed transition clerks to do separation orders, the DD-214s,
Mhm.
all that. And so right then and there when I got out, the stop loss happened. 9/11 happened. So I quickly, people thinking, oh, what transition? There's nothing to do there. But you still have the med boards, you still have the chapters, you still have involuntary retirements of different sorts, whether they were already exceeded their term of service, get promoted or whatever. So I quickly learned all of that. I learned my signatures on many DD-214s and separation orders from Germany. So that's how that transitions. That was my first contract.
A unique role.
Yeah, so then I became a
Uh-huh.
contractor as an employee, but my brain didn't just stop with just the support. Then I'm asking my supervisor, well, how did y'all bid this contract? We're on stop loss. Can one of us possibly be reduced to part-time? And just trying to figure out how the costs work from the bidding part is how I started asking questions.
Yep. Yeah.
And then from that point, the company I worked for was bidding on other contracts back in the States for military personnel, sir.
Yep. So one second. So Hillary, you're on active duty for how many years?
4.
4? Okay. So give me an example or two of great leadership that you saw while you're on active duty or in the military as a whole that you still use today, that you remembered, that you relied upon. What type of leadership thing or tenet of military leadership or things like that?
I think early on, because I was in the command group, as an E4, I got to see and witness, 06's command sergeant majors up close in front, not just on a podium. Probably my biggest first mentor was General Anthony Cupulo, which later became the Army Public Affairs Officer. But at that time, he was the 06 3rd ID, 33rd. So I learned from him grit, just never stop. I remember I used to laugh at him because junior officers would come in and want to get on his calendar and would want to talk to him for whatever issues they had going on that they wanted to get him up front with. And he's like, just book them to do a 10-mile run with me tomorrow morning and I'll talk to him. That's how he would. So I had to be that messenger. And I don't do that today with any of my staff. We're not going to go on a run to talk about our interviews, but it's just, you learn, everybody has a different leadership style. You learn to kind of ebb and flow to those personalities, those styles, those communications. Some people are visual. Some people rather talk about it. I learned a lot of that early on from that position.
What do you think about the concept of leading up? You have a company now, people leading up and keeping you informed. How do you help your team members today understand the importance of that and achieve with you?
Well, I mean, everybody has probably their own ways of doing that. But for me, I have my number 2, my company. His name is Jeff. We keep every other day tag up sessions on the calendar. If we don't need it, we can cancel it. But it's not just for me to give, it's for me to take and listen and what's going on. Keep me abreast. What do I gotta do? So I think just setting aside that time is important to allow, we all get busy in day-to-day stuff.
Yep.
And you forget to ask the questions. How are things going? What do you need from me? How can I help? I want to hear that. And I also want to give that too as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now let's take a step back. If I read your LinkedIn profile correctly, so you're in the Army.
I
You're
am.
Army,
Yeah.
and you have a husband that might be in a different service. Is that right?
Slightly, yeah. He made a different choice than I did back in the day. So he's active duty Navy. So we had that joint fight here.
Yes.
Yes.
Every year, right? December 10th, and approximately for the game.
Year round, but yeah. We always slide in little ways to mess with each other. Like his lanyard, his keychain, I make it be a Go Army. So he drives it, he takes that to work, and I see sometimes his friends be like, "That." So that's how we kind of keep.
I bet.
I mean, we live
Got
in
it. Got it. Okay.
So we live in North. He's still active duty.
Yep. That's fantastic. That's very cool. Yeah, my wife is from a Navy family. Her dad, her grandpa, my grandpa that's in uniform behind me from World War II. And so we were all Army. So we always have a lot of fun except when Navy wins. But
Yeah, well, fortunately for me, I found that procures the Army Navy football game tickets. And so they're always on the Army side. And I dress him up. Maybe I dress me up all Army. We're that couple that shouldn't go together. And the Army's been slated to win, but the crowd around us at the games normally changes their tune, and he's still, what the hell,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So fast forward, come back to almost today. So tell me about how did you get the idea of going into business? Like I said earlier, we were probably off camera at the time, but I still believe it takes equal parts of crazy and courage to be a business owner like ourselves.
Yeah.
How did you ever think about starting to go into business yourself?
Not that I would advise it, but my first company, the second company, my first company that I started was without a plan at all. This was when the National Defense Authorization Act was adding women-owned, set-aside funding for federal contracting, just like it would minority-owned, veteran-owned. And one night, a couple of glasses of wine, I went online for a company with no business plan, no investor, no plan. So that was my first rodeo. I'm like, well, I was doing the work at that time as an employee, the growth, the program management, the business development concepts. I was like, let me see if I can give this a go part-time, slowly on my own to figure out if I can do it. Not that I would advise that to do a plan, but that's how I did my first company. This is my second one here,
But
but that's how that started.
when you started a business, no plan, and I hear you, that's even more courageous.
Yes.
How did you navigate that for the first couple of years? How did you figure out, okay, to get a plan, or how did you stay agile, or what were the things you learned from that experience that led you to be even more courageous to start a second business? What were those things you learned in that first endeavor?
Well, when I started my first one, I already knew how to be a government contractor from an employee standpoint, from a program management office, from execution, from doing proposal. I knew that from an employee. There's definitely things I did not know, I did not see, I did not consider. I thought I knew it all. I didn't realize the financials, the other side. You don't see that and feel that. So I learned quickly about the cost of money. I learned quickly about cash flow importance, which again, as an employee, you don't see, feel. That's not a nightmare to you. But as an owner, that is up front, and now it's an issue. So, going in without those plans, I went in hard. My first company, I went in hard, submitted proposals, won my first government contract within my first 30 days of being in business. It was small. It was small, but still, I quickly learned how even one person, two people on payroll, you've got to have that. You got to have those financials. You got to have that stuff. And I learned that SBA won't talk to you until you have 2 years of business tax returns. Well, I learned these things. It was a very learning process for me. Not from the execution, but just the back end stuff. That's just as important. Death by fire, my own. I learned that I don't want to go after this 20-person contract and win it because, ouch, how am I going to pay payroll for 20 people? I want to go after the one person, slowly build in a time frame where hopefully whenever I do have those 2 years of tax returns that everyone needs to give you a loan, I won't need it by that point. But that upfront 2 years, I learned to go slow. And when I say go slow, I think I had 85 employees by the end of year 2. And they were all
That's not so slow.
I thought that was, but it was incremental. It grew. I should have probably learned to slow my heels a little bit more because that's not as slow as it should have been. To build everything, it worked out. It's all great. Thankfully, my mother let me borrow $20,000 one month when I was short on payroll. Cash flow. You have those things that you learn. You look back now, what was I thinking? And, my first year of business, my first company, I didn't pay myself for the first year. Because every little margin that you made on one went to the next payroll or the next workers' comp or the next policy, liability. So I didn't pay myself, which hurt. That hurt. So here I'm that crazy person that's working 20-hour days on growth of the company, operation of the company, and to keep myself afloat and to keep my groceries in my fridge and stuff. I Ubered. I was an Uber driver in the evening and the weekend.
Wow.
Just to finance
Is that right?
my own personal. I didn't need millions. I just needed to maintain because I had faith that it would work out. And it did. It's just and I would tell every entrepreneur, make sure you have some cash flow coming in for you while you build this dream that you're having. But that was a big lesson for me.
That's right. Yeah, I've had philosophical debates with people, and for me, for what you did, I think I completely agree with. Other people say that we should just be all in and all live within the company and X, Y, Z. And to me, I think what you did is, again, goes back to that word courageous, persistent, tenacious. And I think it takes a lot of that to And actually, when you're doing the Uber driving, keeping the cash flow going for yourself, it gives, honestly, it gives the company more room to grow and stabilize too. Oftentimes it's the case. And you don't, a lot of people use these expensive debt options that are out there. And they can be right in short-term situations and things like this. But that debt comes back and haunts us, especially if it's that short-term kind of debt.
I learned that quickly.
That's so
Yeah,
expensive.
you can see there's 20%
Yes.
fees. I'm like, in the government contract, they usually don't have a 20% profit margin. So again, I'm learning the cost of money. If fun.
That's right. Absolutely. After your first business, why did you feel compelled or the desire or the wish to go through this
Again,
big process again?
yeah. Well,
What was the driving force?
my first company, after about 2 years, I started getting acquisition offers from people I knew, people in my network. These weren't strangers. This wasn't scam call. It just ironically happened that like I was getting like 3 acquisition offers, talks the same month. It just collided. I wasn't even looking to sell the company. But the same week, I have 3 different people poking on my shoulder saying, "Let's talk. Let's look at your numbers. Let's look at. I'm looking to diversify. Why don't you know?" And so I went with a company that purchased my company for diversification. I was not an IT company.
Sure.
I had TRICARE clerks. I had hospice and bereavement counselors at VA. Like I had logistics specialists at the aircraft production line in Corpus Christi. That's the kind of positions and labor categories I had. So an IT company, because they wanted to diversify, purchased my company. And with that, I stayed on with them for about 2.5 years to help grow them and manage the book of business that I had. So at that point, I wasn't thinking about company number 2. I was just gonna see how this goes. I had an obligation to stay with them for a while to sell. But then I was helping so many of my friends that were business owners with advice. I had companies say, "Hey, I got a proposal. Can you look at this? Can you review this? Can you go over this with me?" I was like mentoring, and I'm really entrenched with a couple of not-for-profits, like Women in Defense, for example. I'm the board of directors with them. At the local chapter down here, I was on the board of directors with them. And so I became like this mentor for so many companies. I'm like, maybe this should be a business, helping other small businesses grow in this scope. Company, which is what I have now, BAFO Services. I originally planned on this being just me, part-time, turning off and on when I want, learning how to sleep, because that's never been, I've never been able to really do that. I'm sure every veterans share that ability.
Yeah.
But just trying to put some work-life balance. This was going to be like a part-time thing for me, being a consultant, but it grew. I kept on getting more clients, people that I'm helping win. They tell their partners. Now I have 50 plus different staff of all different talents that are on my team that help my 150 plus clients that we have now grow, whether that's price analysis or business development analyst or proposal specialist.
Let me ask you this, Hillary. What words of advice and wisdom would you share with other veteran business owners that are thinking about selling their business or getting offers? What are some of those things that when you go to sell this firm, what advice would you give yourself today or other founders that come to you and say, what should I do to get ready to sell my business?
Well, again, I didn't do all that right. So the advice I give is not something that I did, something more that I learned. I didn't grow my company. Usually people are like planning it. I'm going to grow in 5 years. I'm going to sell in 5 years. I'm going to do this different strategy to get certain contracts in place to make it more valuable to grow or to sell. I didn't do all that. Mine just came. I wasn't even selling it. But a couple of mentors of mine said, like, "Hillary, if it looks good, take it. You're young enough. Your energy's not going to fade. You could always rejuggle. Let's do something later down the road if you choose." If companies are really strategizing their plan to grow, it's all about getting that cash flow right, getting the cash flow, getting the profit margins there, expanding so you're more of a financial aware setting to sell. I didn't do all that. It was just, okay, let's do it. And also be cautious of the agreement that you sign, your post-sale terms. Are you OCI'd out where you no longer can be in that market? Those terms are something to look at. For me, I went with the company that bought my company and stayed there and had a separate employment agreement. But is not
Mhm.
away. It could have been cut ties completely. And now your agreement is you have to stay away from that market for 5 years. Make sure that you're
Okay.
because you never know. You might think you have a plan to retire post selling a company and not do anything. And then a year later, you get bored and want to dabble, but you can't because you signed an agreement. You won't do that. So be cautious. I understand there's agreements are there to safeguard the company moving forward, but also safeguard what you don't know you want to do the next year. You don't know.
That's right.
Just safeguard that and cautious that.
Absolutely. We were saying that, in fact, we're writing a book on it right now called The Ready Founder. And we provide financial leadership teams, or some people might say fractional CFO type services. And for me, I've seen too many founders not be ready for an opportunity or an obstacle. And so my whole jam is to make sure that the founders we work with are ready. You don't go, I mean, sometimes I like using these military analogies, but you don't take your tank out on a drive without making sure it's ready. Like, I'll just use that now.
Right.
You got to make sure it's ready it's going to be able to go over those hills. It's going to be able to fire its weapon. It's going to be able to do all that stuff. And I had a great friend just call me today. I've known him about 2 years, and he's hit a cash flow crunch. He's like, and I say, you got to be ready before things like that happen. It makes it a lot easier to work through that if you're ready. So it makes a big difference. That's for sure. So your business is called, tell me specifically, give me in a nutshell, what's that elevator pitch for your firm today?
So my firm today is BAFO Services. BAFO is a term in the government acquisition world of best and final offer. So we help companies navigate the federal acquisition regulation, help them find the right opportunities, and then do compliant proposals to win them. So that's my quick elevator pitch. Each client's a little bit different on what their needs are, what their current gaps are. Are we helping them expand to different agencies, to different customers? Are we helping them win their first contract? We have about 150 plus different clients, and they're all different shapes, sizes. Some are brand new, some are 15 years old and just need some help. Some we help with their full pipeline, their full business development, what to go after, what the plan is. Some we don't do that for. Some they have that covered. They just need help with doing the proposal submissions. We do both sides of the fence, business development and then the full proposal life cycle.
Got it. Okay. And so what does your ICP or ideal client profile look like? Hey, Rod, you ought to be looking out for these clients instead of my way, says Hillary. What would that ICP
It's really
look like?
kind of diverse. I like for them to already be established. Sometimes I have people come to me and say, hey, I'm trying to start a company. Can you help me figure out what I want to do? I'm really not trying to help them figure out what I want to do. I want you to already know what your scope is, what your trade is, and then I can help you take it to the federal government if the federal government's buying what you do. A lot of my clients are military veterans, so they're doing what they did, whether they're a linguist or they're doing cyber or they're doing training exercise support or whatever it is they did in the military is now how can we be a government contract CEO and do that. So I help them walk through the process, how to be a subcontractor first, how to make your first prime contract bid, how to price it, how to put yourself in the eyes of the government evaluator. So you're giving them a compelling proposal to hopefully win it, because it takes a lot of sweat equity to do a proposal. Hours and hours and hours.
Right.
I have folks that they're great at what they did in the Army and they're SMEs, but they have no idea how to read the reps and certs of a government contract. And so we bring that. Stay focused on what you're good at. We can help supplement you, whether you need 10 hours a month of helping you be compliant on this proposal, or you got 4 proposals next month. It's more than 10 hours. We're that hourly support as needed to help them when they need it. They might not be doing it for 1 month. They might not need us at all 1 month. It's the model that I have set up. And a lot of other entrepreneurs have asked me, well, if all your agreements are hourly support, how can you sustain and know you're going to have enough work to keep your workforce whole? I have not had a problem with that at all. Proposals come every day, minus the government shutdown period, which hopefully we'll figure off that. But even if you're not doing an active proposal, you should be preparing for the next one that you're capturing, doing the intel, doing the pre-proposal work. What we do is we work nights, we work weekend. We supplement a company that might need some help with that. So that's what we offer, and our clients have been happy with that. And they keep
Got it.
Clients from referral all the time.
The best kind, isn't it? The referral.
And I give my current client discounts when they refer stuff. So it could.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, 8 years in the military, reserve and active duty. What are some of those tenets that have helped you build this business that you learned in the military? I was talking the other day to my team about a warrant officer. I said, look, these roles that we're set up now as we're growing are more like the warrant officer. Let's go explain what that is. But I still think about things like that. What are some of those things that you've used to continue?
I think for me, it's just really taking care of your staff. I don't think a company could be a company if you don't, we could all try to be robots all day long, but we're all human. How are you doing? What's going on in your life? How could I help you? How could I, give you some slack this month so you can take care of an aging father, a sick kid? All of my staff are 100% remote. We need to make sure we're checking on each other. Just take care of my staff. I really try to do just at that. I'm sure I could probably always improve, but I try when I'm aware to make sure I'm taking the time to make sure my staff are all okay. And they take the break they need, whether that's their own mental health, their family, because life is life. We all have someone getting sick, getting older that needs a break. We just always help each other out. Even my staff, no one person single point of failure. No, only one person has to work through a surgery because no one else can help them. We got coverage.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah, I call that hero behavior, and heroes do not usually make it to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But when people try to act like heroes, they usually go away within a company, units, or no matter what, because it's just not sustainable behavior. It's not sustainable, valuable behavior.
Yeah.
And it is all about the team, isn't it? If we take care of the team, make sure they're aligned, and quite frankly, that they're able to communicate, collaborate, and celebrate. How do we make sure they're able to do all these things for our team, our clients? To me, my 16 team members are really, I see them as my first clients. If I take care of them, they're going to take care of our clients. So it's a very good point. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in building your, wait a minute, so 100% remote even today, huh?
100% remote. Yeah, I do have a lot of team members that are here in the same county I am. We see each other at networking events, but the normal book of business that we do is remote proposal support on a computer behind the scenes for our clients.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. We've brought most of our team in now 3 days a week. We still have some remote team members, but we've gone back 50% basically, or 3 days a week. And that's worked out pretty well for most of the team.
Yeah. And me personally, I have to have that because I'm that crazy military spouse that when my husband deployed, I'm at every port.
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm working. I might have meetings when he's sleeping. I'm working. I'm still handling it. So I want my staff to have that flexibility too. And one of my employees, his mom's been sick in the hospital, and he told me the first time, he's like, I really need a day off to go to the hospital and sit with her all day. I'm like, take your computer, go every day. He's like, I can do that. Go take time off during the day to volunteer your kid's class, but when you get back, catch up on your work. It's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do to handle your family and life.
That's right. We have some professional moms and all the team members know it's really family first. You take care of your family, no matter what, no matter where, no matter when, and then you're in a better position to help us build our business and take care of our clients. Right. Fully agree.
You don't always have that flexibility. You have to be at a location. The remote thing wasn't a thing, but now that's what I require, and that's what I want all my staff to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hillary, I know your time is valuable. We're running short on time right now, but what are some coaching points that you would share with these other military founders that we've talked about a little bit?
I'm currently a volunteer business coach to the Honor Foundation, for example, which helps transition special operators, SEALs. And so I'm always paired up with someone that go through the transition, whether they're going to be an entrepreneur or their next job. I always tell them, I know we're always about the plan. Make your plan. What's your 5-year plan? What's your goal? That's great and everything, but write it in pencil. Don't always write it in permanent marker because you never know who you're going to meet in the elevator the next hour, tomorrow. You never know what opportunity is going to come. Even entrepreneurs, don't be so pigeonholed yourself or your company where I'm only going to do this for this client. You never know what revenue stream of money may come to you because you met someone at an elevator or at the gas station.
Yep.
Hey, I'm looking for this. Can you do it? Oh, yeah, I can. So keep yourself a little bit flexible for the unknowns that are going to pop in your pop up in your life through your network or through your new network. Keep it a little bit flexible because we all need to be able to pivot with the budget, pivot with change of landscapes, pivot with new ideas, just be able to pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's front and center for you right now? What's a project you're working on or something you want to achieve in the next 6 months or a year that you're
6 months.
puzzle you're trying to solve?
6 months or a year. I am kind of at a good place with my company. I know this doesn't sound probably what you want to hear, but I want to stay where we're at. I really don't want to grow hugely because it's a lot with growth. I'm happy where it's at. I personally am trying to be more politically involved with some things. Not sure 100% what the future will be for that direction, but I'm just trying to be more politically aware and provide some support with my future goals on that avenue, which was
Understood. Very cool. Tell me real quick about, you've won so many awards with you and your business over the past X number of years. Why is that? What are people saying? What makes that happen?
I think because I'm helping companies win. I'm helping companies grow. I'm helping them win government contracts, win funding. I get to be part of that celebration. So that, but then I have had a problem saying no to volunteer opportunities. I learn a lot. I'm a business coach. I'm on a lot of board of directors. I have learned that I can't keep saying yes to all those because there's only 24 hours in my day, which is about 2 hours of sleep with that. I'll say no more, but I think all of my community engagement, involvement stuff and those kind of things has been a prime reason for all these awards, which I love to do. I mean, I feel like a leader's not a leader if they're not mentoring and giving back. And it's what I require, not just to other businesses. I do mission trips to Kenya once a year. For me, it's my medicine. It's what we do for.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's a resource or two that you would suggest other military founders use, look at, read, listen to, whatever the case may be? Are there any books, podcasts, or things you're like, you got to listen to this, you got to read it, whatever the case?
I tell most of my clients, every single region has a PTAC office, a Procurement Technical Advisory Center, which they changed their names to the SBA throughout budgets, but every region has those free resources to help small businesses be prepared for growth. One-on-one people. There's WebExes, there's conferences. I said, join 8 different regions, email lists of their events. Most of them are remote, where you can join, you can do them, not just in your county, join the next state over county. And that's gonna be a whole ream of free training resources that you can do. Always one thing I suggest to folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hillary, how would people get in touch with you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they question and want to learn more about your business? Tell us the best way to get in touch with
you. So BAFO Services, BAFOservices.com is my website. I'm also on LinkedIn. My phone never goes off, as you can probably imagine, which my husband, Julie, is a big fan of that. Reach me that way. Let's set up a time to talk and figure out how I can help you. And if I'm not the one to help you, I'm glad to point you in the direction of what you think you need at the phase of where you're at with growth. But even if we don't do business together, I'm happy to connect and share ideas and networks.
Yeah. And the any questions I didn't ask you that I should have?
I have a really cute dog.
What kind?
And I have 3 grandbabies. I have a toy Australian Shepherd. He's a little 12-pound bundle of crazy. He fits in with this Army Navy family very well. He's never calm and never sleeps. He's great for us.
Well, that's great. That's great. And you have 3 grandbabies.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
3 grandbabies that we have now. All the way from 6 weeks old to 5 years old.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Okay. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Hillary, I want to say thank you so much for being on the podcast. And what I'd like to do is donate $100 to the MilCom Founders Scholarship Fund in your name. So it could be used we'll donate two scholarships this year, each for $2,500 or $3,000. So that's our small way of saying thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great to get to know you a little bit. And I just want to say thanks again. Thanks for joining us on the MilCom Founders Podcast. If you know a MilCom founder with a story to share, reach out to us at milcomfounders.com. For each guest on our show, On Degree Financial donates $100 to the Dick Quoges Veteran Entrepreneur Scholarship Fund, supporting education for children of a MilCom business owner. Stay ready.